Hi everybody, my name is Cara Reynolds and I'm running for school board in Charlotte County for District 1. One of the things I like to talk to people about is how public education is a great connector of the community. And if you look over at the park or you ever go to the park and you see kids in our park playing, you know that you're a part of their future and you're giving back to them just by being a citizen of this community. I used to teach in Charlotte County Public Schools. I have a Master's of Education in Curriculum and Instruction. And when I was a part of our schools, I invested as much time as possible as I could to my students. As an educator, we do whatever it takes for our kids. I've had examples of teachers who have brought clothes to school for children who do not have clothes. There are examples of teachers who will make food for kids who do not have, like for example, I had a kid who had never had banana bread, and banana bread's kind of a staple in my house. So one night I went home and made banana bread and brought it back for my kids. Because that is just what our educators do. They give everything, their time and their energy. I think there's a study that says that an average teacher gives $250 every year to their kids. And I remember when I was teaching in Charlotte County, I would go to Target or Walmart and I would stock up on a cart of supplies and I'd go check out. And the people always behind me would say, I know what you do, you're an educator. I'm like, how'd you know, right? And I would always do that because I knew that there were going to be kids who would show up to my classroom who didn't have the supplies that they needed. And I never wanted any child to be behind just because they didn't have those supplies. But my story is not unique. Again, this is what all of the educators in Charlotte County do. And that's why it's so important to support what they are doing. When I taught here, I was a member of many different organizations and groups. I was a part of something called PBIS. I was a part of the initial group that brought that system back to Punta Gorda Middle School and helped train our teachers on what that was. And it's basically a positive behavior support system. I've been a part of curriculum writing committees for our district, where I would go in and sit down with other teachers and write the curriculum that all the teachers in the county would follow. I've been a part of textbook review committees, where we would go through dozens of textbooks and select the best one for our kids. So I've been ingrained in what our teachers have to do in Charlotte County. I stopped teaching in 2013. I had 3 kids in a very short period of time. I had a 5-year-old, a 2-year-old, and a 1-year-old. And anybody who's a parent in the room knows that sometimes that can be a bit of a struggle. So I took a year of a leave of absence from teaching for 1 year. And at the end of the year, I came to my principal and I said, I want to come back to teaching. I don't want benefits. I don't want anything besides my hourly rate. And I just want to spend time with my kids in the classroom a couple periods a day. Unfortunately, our county doesn't offer that. We offer something called a job sharing program, where I could have found another teacher to share my job with me, but that's a really hard task to do. And so at that point in time, I made the decision to leave education, with the understanding that I would be back at some point in time. My youngest is now entering kindergarten this year, and it's always been my plan to go back into education when he went into kindergarten. And I honestly had no idea that it was going to take this form, but sometimes life has a funny way of leading you to different things. So the last 5 years that I've not been teaching, I've been a parent. My oldest son, who is entering 5th grade, started at Deep Creek Elementary School when it was a D-rated school. They had dropped from an A to a D in a short period of time. And we had a lot of hard conversations in my house about, do we really send our kid to a school that's rated a D school? But because I knew the teachers in this community and how much they cared about our kids, I knew we would not stay a D school. So I made a commitment to my family that when our kids started at Deep Creek, I would be as involved in that school as I possibly could be. So as a parent the last 5 years, I've been a member of Deep Creek Advisory Committee, their SAC committee, as their secretary, and I've brought educational-backed initiatives to that school that have since been implemented. I'm also a member of the Transportation Review Committee for the district, which when parents have a problem with transportation needs for their kids, they can request to have an allowance done for them for some changes, and I'm a part of that committee that reviews those and approves or disapproves them. I've also been an active citizen of this community and involved in many different organizations. My latest is that I've been the class president of the leadership class of 2018, which is something that the Chamber of Commerce puts on, and you apply and you get selected. And my class nominated me to be our president this year. And I'm very proud of what we achieved. We raised $35,000 to give back to local nonprofits in our community, and $25,000 of that we're donating back to the Charlotte County Public Schools Arts Program. And so even as a citizen, I've been involved in our schools and trying to get more funding and money into our schools and our teachers' hands because they're the ones that need it. I'm also a business owner. My husband and I own a company with about 100 employees. And I take great pride in what I do at our company. My number one focus has always been my employees, because I know if I have happy employees, I'm going to have happy customers at the end of the day. So my focus has always been our culture. And when you talk about culture, it kind of relates back to a school culture. And if you ask our teachers in Charlotte County, do you love coming to work every day? They're going to tell you they love their students and they love what they do, but the pressures that's coming down from our district and our state are sometimes too much. We've currently lost a number of teachers from our district. Last year we lost 22 staff members from one middle school alone. So when you're turning over a third of the staff at a school, it's going to disrupt the daily functions of those kids, and what they come back to in the fall is going to be very different than what they left. We have to get a grasp on our teachers leaving. And part of that goes back to the fact that Sarasota County and other counties around us pay a lot more money to their teachers than we do. And I'm sure you've read about this in the paper or heard about it. And I'll give you one example. Charlotte County, if you are an educator with 29 years experience and a doctorate degree, you're going to cap out at about $64,000 a year. If you go to Sarasota County, you're going to cap out at about $78,000 a year. That is a very large difference, and our teachers know it, and they're leaving for more pay. And who can blame them? That's a huge change in salary. So as a district, we need to get a better grasp on our teachers' pay and making sure we're competitive with the surrounding districts. This upcoming year, we have about 100 new teachers starting in our schools, and we have 950 teachers on staff about that. So when you have more than 10% of a new teaching staff coming on district-wide, that shows that there maybe are some issues. And I know there have been some retirements and other things that lead to that, but really, 100 new teachers out of 950 is a great number. So back to being a business owner. As a business owner, I know what it takes sometimes to make really hard decisions for the ultimate growth of an organization. But I really am people-focused. So I always say to my employees, if there's a problem and you don't tell me about it, there's nothing I can do to fix it. So one of my priorities as a school board member is to be your voice. I've had parents and teachers raise concerns that sometimes they can't get a hold of their school board members, and they feel like those are my representatives. I should be able to talk to them. Now, while I might not be able to give you an answer, I can sympathize with you. I can listen to you. So if you have a concern or a complaint, I want you to know that you can come and talk to me whenever, and I will listen to what you have to say. I've committed to setting office hours so that way any citizen of the community will know each week or each month when my office door will be open and we can sit down and have a conversation, because I want you to have access to me so I can hear your concerns. Also, this is really important for our staff. Our teachers feel like they don't have a voice in the district. There's a lot of top-down approach, and our teachers need to feel a bottom-up approach. We need to bring them into the conversations. They are professionals in the classroom. If we have a problem, I feel like they probably have some solutions to fix that problem, but we have to incorporate them into that. So I propose having citizen advisory committees and teacher advisory committees where they can meet with board members and say, here's what I see is an issue. Can we work on a solution together? And again, sometimes those solutions may not be possible, but giving them a voice and giving them the opportunity to at least express those concerns is what I think is most important. Also with our school board workshops are held on a Tuesday morning at 9:30. As a teacher who worked in Charlotte County, there was never a single opportunity that I could get to one of those meetings. And I know there are a lot of citizens that would like to go and can't attend because they have jobs as well. So I propose having our school board workshops live streamed on Facebook. It's very simple, it's effective, it's free. People say, is everybody in the community on Facebook? Well, my grandma's 80 and she's on Facebook and sends me a lot of messages. So everybody can learn Facebook, it's not that challenging. So I would also donate any materials that are needed to make that happen from my school board salary, because I don't want to see taxpayers have to pay for access. That should be something we all get to enjoy. I also think that it's very important that we include our students in these conversations. As a parent with 3 kids in our schools, I get to see firsthand what our kids are going through and what our district and state ask them to do, and it is heartbreaking. My child, who's entering 5th grade now, when he was a 3rd grader, took his first round of FSA testing, which is our Florida Standards Assessment testing. And it was heartbreaking to watch the stress that he went through. And I try and equate it for people. If you can think back to when you were in high school and you were taking an ACT or an SAT, do you remember how hard you studied for that test and the preparation that went into it? Now imagine you're 9. You don't have the same coping skills. You don't have the same support systems that you do as a 16-year-old. So that's what we're asking our 9-year-olds to do, and that comes from the state. But on top of that, as a district, we ask our students to do many other things. One thing that a lot of parents like to talk to me about is a program called iReady. And iReady is a great diagnostic tool to see where our students are and where they need help with. But on top of doing a baseline test, a middle of the year test, and an end of the year test, we require our kids to do many sessions in between that, where 45 minutes a week they have to take practice tests. It's excessive and it's stressful. We need to look at what we're asking our students to do on top of what the state requires and see if there's anything we can do to alleviate these issues. So as a school board member, one of my first things I would do is ask for a list of every test we ask every child to take in our district at every grade level, and really go through and strategically select the ones we need and the ones that maybe we've just added on because we did. Another example is, how many people in here love to read? I'm a pretty avid reader. I read all kinds of books, right? Do you read because you love it, or do you read because you're going to take a test on it and get points at the end of it? Probably because you love it. We ask our kids to read books and take tests on every single book that they read. We need to eliminate this practice. There should be less pressure. We should create a love of reading for our students, not because they're going to be rewarded with the test. So again, I just want to speak to you really quickly before I'm finished up that I am a former educator in Charlotte County. I have a master's of education. I have kids enrolled here. I know what our kids need and our students need. This is more than a job to me. This is my life. This affects my life and my kids' life. So I am committed to this. I am passionate about it. I will I will commit all of my time to being a full-time school board member. My position at my company, I've already kind of stepped back, so I can dedicate all of my time to this job. And the last thing, we currently have no educators on our school board. And I think that is so important to have at least one educator on our school board, because when you write a policy, you need to know how it affects our teachers and our kids. The last time Charlotte County Public Schools was an A-rated school, we had an educator on our board. So please vote for me on August 28th, Cara Reynolds. Thank you.